Section 1.2, Types of Data. A major use of statistics is to collect and use sample data to make conclusions about populations. A parameter is a numerical measurement describing some characteristic of the population. Notice parameter, population. A statistic is a numerical measure describing some characteristics of a sample. Quantitative or numerical data consists of numbers representing counts or measurements, and they'll have units associated with them. Example, weights of supermodels, ages of respondents. Categorical or qualitative or attribute data consists of names or labels. These are data that put items into groups. They're not numbers that represent counts or measurements. Examples would be gender, race, ethnicity, political affiliation. Shirt numbers on professional athletes' uniforms are substitutes for names. Quantitative data can be further described by distinguishing between discrete and continuous. Discrete are countable. Then on a particular interval, we'll have a countable number of values that the data can take on. So for example, the number of tosses of a coin before getting tails. Continuous is an infinite number of values on a particular interval. So things like length of distances from 0 centimeters to 12 centimeters, patients' weights in a hospital. Another way of classifying data is to use the 4 levels of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Nominal is where we characterize data. This is really categorical data. We put things into groups that cannot be put in any kind of an order, such as low to high. So things like political affiliation, Republican, Democrat, Independent. Put it into groups, but there's no order. An ordinal level, we put things into groups again, but here we have some order. So things like course grades, A, B, C, D, F, Likert scale when you do out a survey and they ask you to rank things. So they're putting things into categories. We can't measure the distances between the categories, but we can say there's a natural order. Interval, data can be arranged in order and the differences between the data values are meaningful, but there's no natural zero. So things like years. And then finally, ratio. We can put things in order, differences can be found and are meaningful, and there's a natural zero starting point. So things like time, like weight, we could say things, one thing weighs twice as much as another thing. So there's a summary of the 4 levels of measurement. Big data refers to data sets that are so large and complex, their analysis is beyond the capabilities of traditional software. And this is where we have to use multiple computers running multiple programs. And data science is the science that involves applications of statistics, computer science, and software engineering, along with some relevant fields, such as sociology, finance, etc. A data value is missing at random if the likelihood of its being missing is independent of its value or any of the other values in the data set. Data value is missing not at random if it's related somehow to the reason for it being missing. What can we do with missing data? If one common thing is to delete the entire case, if a subject is missing one data value, we take out all the information about that particular case. We can impute, which is we can substitute values that seem reasonable for the missing value. So let's review some of the terms we learned in this section. Parameter or statistic in this scenario. In a study of American Airlines flights from JFK in New York to LAX in Los Angeles, 48 flights are randomly selected and the average arrival time is 8.9 minutes late. Notice that there's a sample there, so it's going to be a statistic. A study was conducted of all the passengers aboard the Titanic when it sunk. All means parameter, population. Quantitative or categorical. Brands of cereal most popular with children, it's categorical. Colors of M&M candies in a single serve bag, also categorical. Platelet counts of patients in an ICU, quantitative. And heights of students in a college class, quantitative. Discrete or continuous and why? Now we had those platelet counts before, they were quantitative. These are going to be discrete because they can only be specific values within a certain number. You can only have 1 platelet or 2 platelets. You can't have 1.2 or 1.5. Heights of the students are continuous. And again, this is because the heights can take on any value in an interval. What level of measurement is most appropriate? U.S. News & World Report periodically provides rankings of national universities. And in a recent year, the ranks for Princeton, Harvard, and Yale were 1, 2, 3, respectively. So there's numbers involved there, but we can't tell the difference between the numbers as meaningful, but there is a natural order, so this is ordinal. the colors of the M&Ms in the bag, and this is going to be nominal. In a study of fast food service times, a researcher records the time intervals of drive-up customers beginning when they place their order and ending when they receive their order. Okay, so this is time, and this is going to be ratio because we could say that customer A spent twice as much time in line as customer B. Baseball statistician Bill James records the years in which Baseball World Series is won by a team from the National League. And this is going to be interval. We can calculate the difference between the years, but we can't say it took twice as many years for something to happen.